our day one NIL virtual summit, the second part here. We're with Garvey at Twitch. Obviously, we're talking about NIL. There's a number of ways that student athletes can build brands, influencers can build brands, build a community, and set yourself up for the future. Twitch happens to be one of the top routes out there for athletes, and we always push athletes that way ourselves. And obviously it's a natural fit being college athletes in the college world. So Garvey, you have obviously a ton of experience. We'd love to hear more about your background first, and then jump into the benefits of Twitch and everything you guys got going on over there.
Sure, absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name's Garvey. My real name is Mark Candella, but I only go by Garvey. I'm the Director of Student Education Programs at Twitch. And I run the Twitch Student Program, founded the Twitch Student Program in 2015, really to look at this industry, look at the problems that we have in this industry, and think of ways that we could solve it by involving a lot more young people. We have a very large platform. We have, I think, over 900 million people that are on the platform that consume about 102 minutes an hour, a day of content. But the average demographic is usually about 25 years old on average. So we really can't think of anybody to help us solve problems and identify unknowns in this industry by working with those that we serve for the most part. So the Twitch Student Program came in 2015, and we wanted to look at the industry. We wanted to look at what was happening in education in the student space and really form a bridge between educators and students and the industry to make sure that we were all walking in step. We understand what opportunities are available for everybody, and really to increase the sustainability and the professionalism of this industry. And I think increasing the professionalism really segues quite nicely into names, images, and likenesses, because what we're also trying to address is this hobbyist feel of content creation, where most people are utilizing 40% of the platforms and the tools, products, and services that are available for them. The problem is, and that's great for a professional, but hobbyists, it's usually just a copy and paste. They see somebody doing something and they kind of copy and paste it onto their stream. What we're trying to do is create this educational experience, make education relevant, but really start dotting the I's and crossing the T's and saying, okay, these are all the platforms that are available to me. These are all the tools, products, and services that are available across each platform. And then try to come up with a holistic digital media strategy or new media strategy that incorporates all of them and cherry picks the 40% from all the different platforms and all the different tools, products, and services to create a unique, engaging experience. And that's what really Twitch is about, right? So we're a live platform. Everything's, by the second. It's active. It's an interactive experience. There's no passivity whatsoever. It's really people coming together and building a community in real time. So, why is Twitch, so attractive? It's not only the, 25 years old and the large community that we have, but they're really, really engaged. And that's a difference between traditional linear media, excuse me, and new media, is we have engagement points. We can see, how is this content affecting the community? Is it really supplying what they need? Is the community in return giving you what you need as a content creator? So where Twitch comes in is it's one component that creates this live experience, and it's quite engaging. So again, every platform in digital media has different metrics. And the metrics we're looking at is not only how many prospective eyeballs are on a player or an influencer in terms of sponsorships, but it's also how deeply engaged are they. And every platform has different tools, right? So Twitch, we have to show engagement is what's the average duration of time that somebody watches your content piece? How often do they chat in the live Twitch chat? These are forms of engagement. Twitter has forms of engagement too. A tweet is considered a content piece, right? How many likes do you get? How many retweets do you get? How many comments do you get? Likes, retweets, and comments. These are all really, really valuable to know. And with the tools, products, and services from each platform, it allows you to create that unique, engaging experience for your community. Why is engagement important? This is probably, I think, one of the most important metrics on our platform for Twitch is last year we had over 1 trillion minutes of live content consumed on our platform. That's just over 1,200,000 years worth of live content consumed on the platform. So, and I'm not trying to toot Twitch's horn. I'm just trying to say this is a tool that's available. It's part of a comprehensive digital media strategy that fits in really well as we're looking at names, images, and likenesses, right? So what is out there? What's available for me? How do I utilize each platform to create these experiences to grow a community? Once that's identified, what we do with the Twitch student program is we teach holistic new media strategies. So once we get all the platforms set and we know what we're going to do on them, we figure out, okay, what is really the heart and soul of brand building? I think it's the art of the narrative, being able to tell a story. And content is just that. We're telling a story, right? In different mediums, in different ways, but we're telling a story. So what we try to teach through the Twitch student program and at universities and high schools all over the world, we're in 33 countries right now with the Twitch student program supporting universities and high schools. What we're trying to do is teach a holistic digital media strategy, new media strategy, all the components, all the tools, products, and services. That's the first step. The second step is identifying your voice. What do you want to talk about? What is your brand? What kind of content are you going to create? What's your narrative? And then the real key is to break up your narrative into separate components and spread them across the different platforms that you're going to use. Why is that? If you're saying the same thing on Twitch as you're saying on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, why would I follow you on other platforms? So the business is one community member can become more valuable to you as a business person as you're building your name, as you're building your brand, as you're building your images, whatever the case may be. They'll follow along on the different platforms, and every time they follow you on one more platform, they become more valuable to you as you're looking to build your brand. So what we try to do is recommend, okay, on Twitch is your long form, live, active content. It's where you're building your community. It's where you're engaging them. It's where everybody's coming together and having their voice heard. YouTube might be where you clean up a long broadcast and make it into, smaller, cleaner bites, 10-minute bites, and put it on there that shows your highlights, right? Stuff like that. So if you don't have time for the long form, that part of my story, I TLDR it for you on YouTube. Twitter might be my information hub. If you want to know what I'm doing and when I'm doing, just check Twitter. Facebook's my community building hub. If you want to come and, leave some posts or leave a link and stuff like that, if you have something interesting I should look at, go here. TikTok might be my lifestyle hub. These are the sneakers I like to wear. These are the cars I like to look at, so on and so forth. So what you're trying to do is as you're thinking about NIL, as you're trying to build a brand, and it's interchangeable for me, brand and names, images, and likeness. To me, it's brand building, right? And selling against yourself and your personality, your engagement, and your community. What we want to do is create this story where each year is almost like a novel, right? Each month is a chapter. Each platform is a page. And we all know when you have a book that you enjoy reading, you don't skip a sentence or a word, no less a page or a chapter. So you're trying to incentivize people by telling different components of your story across different platforms. So it increases your business metrics as you go out and look to, talk to a Fortune 500 company and say, hey, I have this great community. They're this engaged. They're all over the place and they're in full support. If I can sit with you and I can understand and you can tell me, why is it important for you to work with me? Why is it important to work with a student athlete? What's important about education for you? Because I need to be able to express your vision of working with me to my community so it's not a transactional relationship. I want to believe in your belief in me. And I want my community to believe in your belief in me and my belief in you. And this is part of what we try to train in universities, right? So I think we're really well situated. When we work with a university, we'll segue from that into what you can find at a university now. So with the Twitch student program, we work with a university on 3 different levels. So we wanted to build a global program, but we wanted consistency while being cognizant that every student, educator, school, city, state, country has unique circumstances. So we built a 3-part modular system, and universities can start where they like and finish where they like. So there's no handcuffs. We don't tell people what to do. It's only a simple matter of road mapping for people. So the 3 points, we call them the 3 C's, and that's community, competition, and career. So we want to create a holistic experience. We want a lot of people coming together, sharing knowledge. We don't just want gamers and esports people that's being involved in these programs, right? We want a wide spread of skill sets that can come and contribute. So most schools start at the competition side. That's the varsity scholarship esports programs. That's the gaming arenas, all of these things, and the tournaments that they compete in, of which Twitch Student also supports. The community side is really important as well. These are the gaming clubs. These are the individual students that want to be a part of something larger than themselves. So we try to teach the schools how to not only be esports oriented, we want them esports and gaming oriented, because gaming is much more inclusive. Esports is quite exclusive, and we could look at the data, right? Only up to 8% of the student body participate in the esports program or acknowledge that they're esports enthusiasts. But if you go from competition and community and you work with esports and gaming, up to 80% of the student body identify as gamers. That's a big jump in being in the service of your student body, and it's very attractive to universities and high schools. That's still not inclusive enough for me. So the 3rd C is what we call career, and we address career through curriculum. And this is what's really important, I think, for this talk, is that the curriculum side, we use the gaming and esports program as a vehicle to teach valuable and transferable new media skills. So you go into schools like UCLA and USC and Miami University at Ohio, and all these great universities, they now not only have an esports program, but they have content creation classes that will come in and they'll teach you how to be brand safe and media trained. And we'll spin back. What does media trained and brand safe mean? Well, in part, it's not only minding your P's and Q's and making sure that you're cognizant that you're representing something larger than yourself, so nothing untoward should come out of your mouth, so on and so forth. But part of this training is, as I mentioned before, sitting down with a potential sponsor and saying, what's your vision? Why is this important to you? I just don't want to go out and be a shill. I want to be on the same page as you, and I want to understand, why do you want to work with me, and why is my community important to you? Why is students and education important to you? Because I think this is more important for me to talk about than saying buy this soft drink or use this telephone, right? So that's part of the training. There's also these great facilities, right? There's these great gaming and esports arenas that you can use that has the facilities, that has the appropriate microphone, the appropriate cameras, the appropriate lighting and backgrounds for you. You don't even have to go out and buy. There's content creation hubs set up in most universities now. So the long story short is that there's these great programs already. Don't worry about athletics and esports and gaming and blah, and nerd this and nerd that. We have facilities, we have classes, right? Just simply remove video games from the equation. You're learning valuable and transferable skills in new media, especially when it comes to content creation and representing yourself well and representing others well. There's classes, there's facilities, there's students that would absolutely love to help more traditional sports people come on, understand what this space is, and fully utilize it in the most relevant and appropriate way. So the facilities, the community that's there to support you, the education and classes that a lot of these universities have or are launching now, I think creates this perfect storm where if you do have an interest in building a brand, names, images, and likenesses, right? And understanding everything that's available to you and how to utilize it in the best way for you, not for somebody else, for you and your community, and how you want your community to interact with each other. There's great facilities, there's great classes, there's great people on these campuses now. And it only takes a little step to go to your university's esports arena or esports program and say, hey, I'm from XYZ. I'm thinking about doing 1, 2, and 3. I heard you have classes on this. I heard you have facilities for this. I heard you have a gaming arena for this. And I heard you have a great, vibrant, engaged community, right? How can me and my traditional athletes come in and take advantage of this and work together towards a greater goal? How can we How can we represent ourselves and represent our university at the highest possible levels in the most appropriate way for 2021 moving forward, not 1985 moving backwards? And that's where we are with all of this. It's really about not labeling people, not looking at, the old classifications, right? And just trying to take advantage of all these great new programs that's out there. I'll tell you from my heart, I'll let you know that the programs would have an open heart, an open mind, and open arms for people that want to come and take advantage of the facilities, the classes, the community they're building, the equipment that they have, top tier, right? Universities do not play. If they're going to do something, they do it. So everything's there, right? It's a warm, welcoming community. It really is. You will never have to think twice about going into the esports arena and saying, oh, might I be able to speak to the manager? I have some questions about, how me and, XYZ team can come in and maybe work with you and use facilities and level up, our brand building game. And again, I'm just going to branding for me it rolls off the tongue easier than NIL. But I think we can all agree it's the same concept, right? So brand building, right? What's the voice that you want to have heard to people? How are you going to present that? How can you break it up into different components, right? To create perpetual motion, right? Somebody comes on Twitter, they say, oh, here's my Twitch link, here's my Instagram link, here's my this, here's my that. Oh, the pinned tweet says, oh, my community lives on Facebook, my lifestyle stuff lives on TikTok and Instagram. My long form active content, you want to come chat with me? You want to come chat with people that think like me? This is what we're building on Twitch. Come hang out with us. We're on, every day, every Monday and Wednesday from 7 at night to 9 at night. Come hang out. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff and I'll answer your questions, whatever the case may be. So the idea is you come to one part, it's giving you a small component. You want to read the rest of the chapter. So you're going to go check out all the other ones. And then you have a true handshake, right? Because you have the content creator, the athlete, taking time out of their busy, busy day to be a part of the community, to grow a community, and the community following them on all the platforms is the reward, right? Because at the end of the day, you're going to aggregate all that data, and there's nothing that says you have to say, well, this percentage of people follow me across all platforms. No, this platform has this many people, they're this engaged. This platform has this many people, they're this engaged. Bam, 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 bam. So again, that brings you back to that idea that a community member following you on multiple platforms is exponentially more valuable to you as a business person. So how do we incentivize that? So that's like the second step. The first step is educate yourself. Know what you're about. Create a unique experience. This is where the success is, because at least on the Twitch community side, we see who's vested in us. We see who's sacrificing for us. We see who has appropriate overlays. We see who has alerts set up. We see who responds to chat. We see who's consistent with a schedule, because that's the broadcaster's respect to the community. The community's respect is watching, following, and supporting, whether it's financially or even just watching, right? You make great money on Twitch. Don't get me wrong. The real value is in the data that you get from Twitch that show the size and the engagement of your platform over long form content, right? That's really active. There's not a lick of passivity in Twitch. You're really in the weeds. You're really with your community side by side, marching toward a shared vision, which you should be talking about on Twitter or Facebook. What's the vision? Why are you doing this? Who are you? Why are you doing this? And what does it mean to me? So that's really the long and short of it. I can go on for another hour, but I know Tim and Pat, you wanted to have a nice little back and forth, maybe a little chat. Maybe I can answer some questions, because I know that's a lot to comprehend. I'm just going to TLDR it. Your university, more likely than not, has an incredible esports and gaming program that is really just a medium that teaches content creation. These esports and gaming programs really are content creation programs. They're teaching how to build a brand, represent yourself by representing something larger than yourself in the most professional standards, in the most professional setting, at the highest possible quality levels. And that's what these programs can do for you. as you're seeking to build a brand, expose yourself, and more importantly, build a community. Everything starts with the community.
That was great, Tim.
Garvey, you're great. I know. I know.
I'm gonna pop in, Tim, if you got a question after this. That was awesome. I should just clip the whole 20 minutes and have us put it out on somewhere, but we'll put out some clips. That was great stuff. So well laid out and so well said from a community brand building standpoint. I love how you laid it out. Like Twitch can be this, your long form content clips. I think that makes a ton of sense. I think something I hope many more athletes take advantage of, and we'll talk more about what we see so far in the landscape. But from a standpoint, if I went to Bowling Green State University, where I went or wherever, what's the easiest way to find these programs?
Oh yeah, all you have to do is find out if there's a gaming club or an esports program. I mean, usually if there's an esports program, there's a grand opening for their arena. There's classes that's out there. So it just takes a little handshake with somebody like me, a nerd, and saying, hey, do you have an esports program? Do we have content creation classes? Do we have a content creation club? If there's not an esports program, official program yet, I guarantee you 100% the university has clubs that work together that do the same thing. The only thing the universities have seen is that these clubs are doing something incredible and they should do it themselves and make it an official thing where you can have a degree in being brand safe and media trained in communications.
I love that. Tim,
That's
you
awesome.
got something you want me to pop
Yeah,
in?
no, so we've talked offline, Garvey, and you've been at this for a decade, right? Mm-hmm. I would imagine the conversations from a university standpoint a decade ago were completely different from they are today, where now NIL is open. So talk to us a little bit about like
the journey.
The journey and how like athletic directors might be like approaching you now, like, hey, what can we do? What can we do? Now we're open to this type of thing.
It was really difficult. So I've been supporting collegiate and high school on my own dime, on my own time since 2008. Up until 2015, through Twitch, we were supporting all the college tournament organizers, right? And that was the only way that we could do it because there was no official school programs. So in end of 2014, Robert Morris University started an official esports program, a varsity scholarship esports program. As I was putting a business plan together for Amazon and Twitch saying, hey, we really need to invest in the future. We need to invest in young people feeling empowered, feeling enfranchised, and being young professionals in the business of whether it's being a professional player, a content creator, an influencer, whatever the case may be. Let's help them be young professionals in the business of let's solve for X before X becomes a problem. So the first year in 2015, I literally just flew to probably 100 universities around the world that had some small interest in building a program. And I would meet with the presidents, provosts, deans. I would meet with the student leaders. I would meet with the clubs. I would meet with educators that were interested in the space because their students were interested in the space. And I would break it down. In 2016, we started having a great amount of success because as I'm sitting at the table with, all these older people, and I'm a little older myself. I've been doing this for 24 years now. I got my start in late 1993 as a competitive Magic the Gathering player. But a lot of older people, and I'm 51 years old, but a lot of older people, they'll see this and they'll say, parents aren't going to send their kids to our university to pay money to play video games. So in 2016, I said one sentence and I'll never forget, it was at Maryville University. And I was sitting with the president, provost, and clerky. And I mentioned the sentence saying, look, esports and gaming is just a great vehicle to teach valuable and transferable emerging new and digital media skills. All of a sudden I had the lean in moment. Everybody leaned in. And Maryville University now has absolutely one of the best programs in the entire world, supported by the university at every single level, because they see the value in STEM students now having a great vehicle to drive to actually complete their STEM studies. Because when we started the program in 2015, we had America had a great 31% STEM enrollment rate. Great. Unfortunately, in the fine print, you read that we had a 61% attrition rate and that we were globally ranked 23 and 27 in science and math progression. And the US government predicted we'll have several million people short to employ in the tech industry. like I believe it's 60 or 70% of students that participate in these esports programs are STEM students that now see a light at the end of the tunnel in how to apply dry skills to a new, vibrant, exciting industry that has a ton of issues that they can tackle themselves and fix it in the most appropriate way, not for somebody like me, but for somebody like them. Forward thinking, innovative, thinking about, new media every minute of the day. So
yeah. So, and I love that too. And so every day, almost every day, probably I see somebody on Instagram stories, and I'm much more engaged with the college athlete. So I follow a lot of college athletes. I talk with them daily. We work with a couple dozen college athletes. So I'm on Instagram stories. I'm looking at what people are doing, and I'm seeing what they're doing on Twitter and IG and sometimes Snapchat. And almost every day I see somebody post, here's my gamer tag, come play me tonight, or do this thing or whatever. And I'm like, are you on Twitch? And almost never have I gotten this response of yes. And I'm like, well, why not? And I got a response the other day I thought was interesting. It was, I don't have time. And but this athlete who's playing nightly anyway, like playing, I think they play NBA 2K.
Right.
I think is what they play. And I was like, well, you're on it. Why not? And same thing, how you described it is, I think it's a great community building tool. You're already on it. Why not be on there? You're already playing, you're investing the time to play. Why not be on there and then have people be able to watch and you be able to collaborate and that sort of thing. I'm amazed at how many athletes, so student athletes, are playing on a daily basis, but haven't made that move yet to Twitch. How can we convince more people to do that? How do you typically convince more people to be like, hey, this is a great opportunity? And certainly I'll use what you just said on my own social media accounts and then our social media accounts for this. But outside of that sort of thing, when you're having a conversation with this 20-year-old who's playing Madden or playing Call of Duty 2 hours a night, how do you have that conversation to be like, well, listen, you should be on Twitch. Here's why.
Yeah, I'll tell you the God's honest truth. I would never have that conversation, right? Okay. You can't really tell people what to do, and you can't really approach it like that. All I would say is, any success in life takes sacrifice and being educated in what the opportunity is and how to execute on said opportunity. Right. So you're going to have to schedule some time to understand what the space is.
Sure.
You're going to have to schedule some time if you're serious about brand building and you want to be successful in your endeavors. It takes sacrifice, education, and a consistent cadence to what you're doing. So I don't have these conversations if somebody doesn't know what Twitch is. I'll present the opportunity like we have today. But then I'll walk back and, people come to their own decisions. They come to their own conclusions. I've noticed that it becomes exponentially easier when you take that first step yourself and just have a conversation with the, esports program at your campus and ask a little bit about what they're doing. That first step will be immensely valuable to you because you'll know what's in front of you and what's available to you. Then you can make your own decisions. Okay, this makes sense for me. This makes sense for me. This makes sense for me. So when I say a complete digital media strategy, you might identify 15 platforms or 10 platforms. That doesn't mean you have to use all 15. Again, we're talking about cherry picking. If you only have X amount of time, right, you use Y platforms, right? So if you only have 2 hours a day, you make sure that you schedule exactly what you're doing. I'm going to do, 10 minutes on TikTok, 15 minutes on making sure my Twitter and Facebook's straight. And I'm going to stream for an hour and a half. And then I'm going to break that hour and a half up into 10 minutes and throw it on YouTube. That's my 2 hours or 3 hours, 3 days a week. Schedule, have a cadence. This program is very much teach one to fish, not give one a fish. And to learn how to fish, you have to have the willpower to do it, right? The want to do it. And then the perseverance to actually follow through on what you've decided you want to do. But the education part and deciding what to do is the most valuable part. Take a little time, do a little bit of research, see if there's a program at the campus. If they do have a program, what do they offer you? And then start figuring out, okay, this is my time. This is what's available to me. This is what I can do. And we can take baby steps, right? As long as you identified 8 platforms, if you only start with 3, you can have a plan, a business plan. All right, once I get used to these 3 platforms, once it becomes second nature to me and I have a little bit more mental bandwidth, I'm going to incorporate these 2 platforms that fit between these platforms. And now I have 5 platforms that make sense for people to follow all 5 platforms, because I'm bringing something different to the table on each platform, but at my own comfort level, at my own speed, at my own time, right? Slow and steady wins the race, but education is king. So a lot of people say ignorance is bliss, but knowledge is power. So take that little bit of time. Again, content creation is about feeling empowered, enfranchised, and educated.
I think you touched on basically what I wanted to hear on that anyway, is the aspect of, if you're serious about brand building, this is a great tool for it. Maybe that's my approach. When they go to don't have time, I go, if you're serious, because I think it is. I mean, I've directed, I don't know how many dozens of people. Hey, I think you should look at this opportunity. I think you'd be great on Twitch. And I've talked through a little bit, not as eloquently as you put all this stuff, but brought up some of those key points and some thoughts and put it in a different way how I speak. But I think some do. We have one athlete we work with who's a UFC fighter who's on playing games 5 nights a week, typically Call of Duty. And then she watches UFC fights in a sidecast on Saturday nights or afternoons or whatever. And she's absolutely killing it. Yep. This has been the best thing she ever did for her, probably her career anywhere, is getting on Twitch 18 months ago or something like that at this point. Yep. And now she's got a strong community. I don't know. I want to say maybe like 40,000 subscribers at this point. She's built a good, strong community. She then will take those long form pieces. She'll put out clips on Twitter, put out clips on TikTok. She'll do a longer clip, like you said,
co-branded all the time. Most TikTok accounts have a Twitch link on their profile now. Most Twitch profiles now have a TikTok. Again, it's this perpetual motion, right? Community member goes to one and it spins the rest of the wheels.
Yeah.
I want to piggyback off that though too, is, Megan, the UFC athlete that we work with, she quickly got a following. She found a good niche. It's what she was doing anyhow. So she kind of just embedded this into what she was doing, progressed pretty quickly, became a Twitch partner, right? How can an athlete, they go to Bowling Green, they find their esports arena. Now I have everything set up. I'm devoted. I know I want to do this. Are there any hacks? Are there any things that aside from consistency, is there anything to help them build their community, build what they're doing on Twitch that'll help amplify other things that they're doing as well?
Yeah, I'm going to give you, I grew up my whole life in Brooklyn, New York. I'm going to give you the good old Brooklyn rally cry of 90% preparation, 10% perspiration. Never let them see you sweat, and let all your successes seem mysterious and magical. That comes through planning. Planning comes through education. Education comes through dedication. So that's basically the steps. You want to do it. You dedicate yourself to it. You make sure you know from A through Z. Be a professional in the business of, and then have a plan and execute. So before you even stream, you should have a 30, 60, 90 plan, right? This is what I hope to accomplish in 30 days. This is what I need to know. This is what I need to do. This is what I hope to accomplish in 60 days. This is what I need to know. This is what I need to execute on. This is what I need to do in 90 days. And you could extend that. So early on, when I was in college, I would do these 30, 60, 90s. And now I've evolved where I only touch 5 or 10-year plans. And I start at the end goal of where I want to be in 10 years or 5 years. And I work backwards from that end goal. And I figure out all the components that it takes to get that 5-year goal, and then components of components and components of components. And then you map out all of it and you take a step back and you could identify synergies. Oh, if I do this and I do this, these 2 things are automatically done, right? So synergies create time accelerators. So my 5-year plans become 2.5-year plans, because I've taken the time to map it all out, identify synergies, and make sure that when I'm spinning one wheel, it's spinning 2 or 3 other wheels that I then don't have to do. But it all marches towards that same end goal.
That's great. I do have one last question before I know we got to let you run here shortly. As far as a big thing now that, NIL has opened, the number one thing that athletes are thinking about is all these brands I could potentially work with, right? So what would be advice, or how could athletes integrate brands within there? Or maybe it's, athletes doing stuff on brands, Twitch channels or stuff like that. Do you have any kind of background or guidance as far as working with brands in the new NIL era on Twitch?
Yeah, there's classes that will teach you all about that stuff, but the TLDR is brands are looking for consistent people that they could depend on, right? That will represent them in the best possible way. So, that's all going to take a little time to understand, how can I be in the service of? And a lot of people have failed to realize that, I'm in educator service, I'm in Twitch's service, I'm in this industry service, I'm in student service, right? So I'm constantly thinking, how can I be of the best service? The better service I am to people, the easier it is to acquire more work. So this is you have to be in a service mentality, right? Yes, I'm a superstar. Yes, I'm this. Yes, I'm that. But you are still in the service of your community, right? You're still in service of the brands that you're representing, right? You're not doing them any favors, and you need to have that in your head, right? Be in the service, have a service mentality, and always try to think of what do other people need, not yourself. And by thinking about what my brands need, by thinking about what my communities need, you create this symbiotic relationship of synergies, right? I'm giving the community what they want, they're giving me what I want, and we're both giving my brand what they want.
It's a great way to look at that. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a very service-based mentality. And I find that it's easier. The less I think about my own wants and needs, the less I think about myself, the easier and the happier my life is. It's a little trick I have for myself.
I feel like we've got like 500 clips for social. As each time you post like nuggets like that, I'm like, clip it.
Yeah. You see me typing, I have, I don't know, 12 different notes of just things I want for my own self. And we'll look to clip and do some of that stuff too. But I think that's such a great mentality. They're so in this college world. So this whole NIL deal has been 3 months, right? It's brand new for all of us. Mm-hmm. But so often it's like, how can I get a deal? How can I make money? How can I do this? I completely understand that. I was also, 20 years old at one point, 20 years ago-ish. Mm-hmm. So now to come to from our perspective, what we always try to portray on them is like, how can you bring value to the brand? Yes, we want you to make money, but where's the value to the brand? Think about that. And there's so many athletes we've seen where they just post some random thing and they're like, Joe's pen, support them. And it's like, that's probably not going to get us to make the move. Like, why should we? They have the best pen. They're, I don't know, good for the environment, or they have recycled plastics, and then, by the way, if that's out of nowhere and we don't feel like you really even care about that stuff, that's going to be a lot harder for you to sell.
Yep.
So I love that mentality of service mentality to the brand, because I think that's important and a great way to word it.
And also it makes it easy for people to work with you. And this is another thing that I found in life. The easier you can make it for people to work with you, the more work you're going to get. Nobody wants to chase you down for a deliverable, right? Nobody wants to chase you down and say, your contract obligated you to this many hours broadcast, this many tweets, and this many, Snapchats or Instagram posts or whatever, and you're not delivering, right? You always want to add value, right? So not only doing a little bit more than you're asked, but again, we'll go back to the beginning. The initial conversation is, what's your vision of why it's important to work with student athletes? Why is it important for you to work with me and my community, right? Why is education important to you? My community really needs to know, what is your philanthropic goals? What else do you do outside of, selling to consumers, right? Tell me a little bit about yourself so I could explain to my community and we can talk about this. And that's a value add proposition right there that maybe brands wouldn't even, and what that becomes is a differentiation point between you and other people.
1000%, because nobody's doing that.
Value added differentiation points. That's the key to success in life.
I'm with it. Tim, anything else to add? I think that's
I told Pat, I tried to brief him like, dude, Garvey's going to be great. And I'm sure he believed it, but I guarantee he didn't expect, how great you were going to be here.
I believe in this. I believe in this with all my heart and soul. I've dedicated the last decade of my life to the knowledge that students and young people are our future. and that the more enfranchised and the more empowered they are, the better educated they are. We can all get together and think of this lift as you climb model, this pay it forward model. You know, students now are not chasing, you know, capitalism, they're chasing what's called the passion economy, right? Which is built on two philosophical tenets of compassionate capitalism and social entrepreneurship. Basically means the absence of zero-sum capitalism. They want to make money helping other people have an enriched life and make money themselves. Nobody wants to make a dollar by taking a dollar anymore.
Well, we're just as passionate about this stuff, I think, as you are. And we think this name, image, likeness tool for athletes is the best opportunity to now start to do some of that stuff, to understand and see it. Like now I can start to, now there's a few dollars, you know, dangled at them. And that's probably what's getting them to do that. But now they can see the opportunity. Now they can do this stuff. They can, whether or not most of them are not going to play professional sports, although a lot of them think they will, but here's a real way to then be around your passion, to start to build your brand that you can, maybe you play basketball, you're not going to play in the NBA, but maybe what you can do is have a life around basketball, or maybe you're a tennis player.
Shoulder wrap content. Absolutely.
There you go. There you go. I think it's perfect. We really appreciate you jumping on with us. This was phenomenal stuff. Like Tim said, I knew it'd be good. It exceeded expectations. We appreciate